One Swiss abbey could sell 130,000 pilgrimage badges in 1 week. Let that sink in, because it means medieval virality wasn't slow at all. Hear the quill scratching on vellum. Smell wax and lamp smoke in a monastery scriptorium. Then step outside into a packed alehouse where laughter, shouting, and rumors snap from mouth to mouth like sparks. And ask the uncomfortable question, how can a world with no screens still spread news fast enough to crown nobodies, destroy reputations, and reputations only, without any outside noise or disturbances, and even spill real blood? We're going to trace the medieval network from monastery desks to market squares, from pilgrim roads to battlefields, from town criers to church bells. And by the end, you'll see two payoffs clearly: the comment sections, hiding in the margins of holy books, and the moment a runaway rumor turns into a horror scene that authorities can't stop in time. So where did this signal actually travel, and who controlled it? In theory, medieval information should move through trusted channels. Careful scribes preserve learning, clergy transmit doctrine. In the early Middle Ages from the 6th century, monks copied texts onto vellum and later paper, preserving major Christian writings and the Latin Bible tradition, and a single Bible could take a whole year to copy before it traveled from one church to another across Christendom, collecting helpful marginal notes meant to guide the next reader. And yet those margins didn't stay helpful for long, because medieval manuscripts often exploded with doodles, insults, satire, and bizarre images. Jousting rabbits, killer snails, obscene little creatures. Even clergy behaving badly, sacred text wrapped in very human reactions, like a heated comment thread under a serious post. Meanwhile, for most people who couldn't read Latin, the real feed was oral. Gossip traded after church on Sundays and holy days. Updates swapped in fields and workshops. Arguments in shops and lanes. And proclamations shouted by town criers and marketplaces. Now watch the failure mode, because this is where the medieval network stops being charming and starts being terrifying. In Normandy in 1320, a teenage shepherd's claimed holy vision helps ignite a movement preaching crusade. Then comes the horror scene. Crowds surging, property smashed, fear preached like fact, and hundreds murdered while true information arrives too late to matter. So how can a rumor move faster than authority? And why do people cling to the worst version first? Years later, the consequences echo in control. Town councils regulating criers, and bell ringing so sound itself doesn't trigger unrest. Because once leaders see how quickly panic can ignite, they try to manage the message. But can you really regulate what people repeat in the street? Here's the engine underneath it all: status, profit, and power. Because medieval communication wasn't just sharing, it was a machine that rewarded attention. Monasteries weren't only preserving faith, they were broadcasting prestige, because the more intricate a manuscript, the more time and money it consumed. And commissions for lavish Bibles, psalters, and prayer books announced an abbey's status, while the texts themselves traveled widely. An essay written in Oxford could be copied near York, annotated in Cologne, then carried by a friar to Milan, and each rewrite stacked new commentary and marginal notes, pushing the post further and further. Add traveling entertainers, minstrels in England, performers across France, troubadours in Occitania, who carried stories, satire, moral tales, and personal attacks village to village, able to inflate fame or wreck reputations the way viral clips do now. So when attention becomes a currency, who pays the price? Shift settings, and the same pattern repeats under new rules. Pilgrimage becomes networking, because pilgrims collected lead or pewter badges from Santiago de Compostela, Canterbury, Cologne, even the Holy Land, then displayed them on bags and cloaks like proof signals. And the routes themselves became moving marketplaces where merchants negotiated, clerics debated theology, craftsmen swapped ideas, and strangers bonded through shared travel. Then back home, returned pilgrims turned their journeys into social currency in taverns, each retelling growing more dramatic because audiences reward the bigger story. And whole industries grew around the routes: guidebooks, souvenirs, hospitality, tourism. So was the road only spiritual, or was it a platform built to monetize devotion? Now look at heraldry by the middle of the 12th century. When armor hid faces, identity moved onto bold symbols, coats of arms, colors, and strict rules, so a knight could be recognized at distance. And tournaments became performance arenas where banners fluttered like brand logos, trying to win favor that could be traded upward into power. Catalogs of armorials listed who mattered. Guilds and merchants adopted marks on storefronts and goods. Bakers stamped loaves so customers recognized quality and knew who to complain about. And towns used heraldic symbols on civic documents so authority could be recognized even by people who couldn't read. So if literacy is limited, does that weaken a network, or does it force the network to become even more visual and emotional? Now flip the lazy assumption. The medieval world wasn't isolated and information poor. It was aggressively connected, just through voices, symbols, rituals, and travel. And the biggest broadcaster was the church, communicating doctrine through preaching, copied decrees, and the cathedral itself as a visual screen, with stained glass, sculpture, and painting compressing scripture into bold scenes anyone could grasp. While celebrated preachers could draw crowds of thousands and church courts encouraged reporting networks where neighbors told on neighbors during heresy scares. So if the medieval network was real, who used it best? Ordinary people searching for belonging, or institutions steering crowds? Final answer: medieval social media worked because it hit the same three motives that run humans in any century: belonging, status, and control. Belonging made villages, roads, and taverns into living timelines. Status turned manuscripts, badges, and heraldry into proof signals that lifted people and institutions, and control pushed authorities to regulate sound, messaging, and surveillance because fear spreads faster than reassurance. And the final twist is this: in a world of parchment and rumor, cleanup is slow because stories don't disappear, they replicate. So the real question isn't whether they had social media, it's what kind of society you get when everyone is connected but nobody can hit undo. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments, what would have destroyed your reputation faster in the Middle Ages? An alehouse rumor, a minstrel satire, a scandal scribbled in a manuscript margin, or a symbol everyone recognizes at a glance?